Hello folks, today we're going to be doing a video about why GDP may not be a good indicator of the economy. Now, what is GDP? It's pretty much the gross domestic product, which measures the total output of the economy at a given time period. It was pretty much created by economist Simon Kuznets after the Great Depression in order to solve its problems and to properly record the economy, but even he realized that GDP wasn't meant to measure all of the economy or economic growth. And it's measured by three methods, but for the sake of time, we're only going to go through the expenditure method, which is consumption plus investment plus government spending plus exports, and you take away imports in the country.
Now, the problems with GDP are simple. For one thing, it doesn't account for different types of spending, whether it's good or bad. For example, if consumption is financed by credit card debt, or if government spending increases to solve natural disasters, this will be included in GDP, therefore, GDP will increase. And now, this is a problem because, in this example, the fact that consumption is caused by debt rather than actual existing income shows that the growth is false, and government spending increasing from a natural disaster doesn't show that the economy is improving, it's just repairing damages.
In addition, GDP only records monetized work, which doesn't include voluntary work such as charity and parenting, since monetized work means involving money. Therefore, if the GDP increases, it doesn't mean economic output increases. However, it can include crimes that are monetized, such as drug dealing and prostitution. So, if GDP increases, is in part of that growth could be very negative. Moreover, the next factor is inequality, and this is the most significant criticism of GDP and has been used in politics. The gains of GDP is unevenly distributed to upper incomes rather than lower incomes. This means that when economic growth increases, that benefits the rich more and the working class much less. So when we see GDP increase, it doesn't necessarily mean it benefits the entire economy. It may just benefit one specific portion of the economy. And this is very significant since the US ranks number one on GDP according to the World Bank, but ranks 41st on the Gini Coefficient according to Investopedia, and Gini Coefficient is a measure of inequality. Hence the picture of Bernie Sanders. Next is production and externalities. Now, an increase in GDP is caused by an increase in economic growth, which itself is an increase in goods and services, and this is caused by an increase in production. Sorry for the repetition of increase. Now, this itself can be a problem since a rise in production can lead to a rise in pollutions such as carbon dioxide emissions, which increases negative externalities in production. This damages the environment as it contributes to global warming. So if GDP increases, the problem is it may also damage the environment. And below is a diagram of negative externalities in production. I may go over that in future videos. Now, why is GDP and its criticisms even important? Well, people such as policymakers and politicians use GDP figures to decide whether a policy is beneficial or not. And considering how outdated it is, this is a problem. But what can we even do? I'm glad you asked. Introducing the Human Development Index. This is an alternative to GDP and measures economic development and welfare by taking into account life expectancy, education, and income levels. In other words, it focuses more on the individual in the economy rather than as a whole. Now, there are still problems such as still being unable to take into account income inequality, but taking into account life expectancy shows how good the healthcare in that country is, as well as the education, which shows their literacy rate and such. Now, this is a much bigger difference. The US was ranked first on GDP, but it ranked fourth on Human Development Index, which is still pretty good, but not very good by US standards, if you know what I mean, where it has received a 0.91. Now, Norway, despite being a small country, has ranked first on Human Development Index because it focuses more on its people and has received the Human Development Index of 0.943. And the UK has received a Human Development Index of 0.863 and is ranked 28. That's good for application marks in UK exams. Now that's the end. Please rate, comment, and subscribe.